Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 11 of DeGodCast, the podcast by Degens for Degens. Today is May 10th. It's JB, part of your duo of hosts today. Slate's MacBook got a little too geeked up in Puerto Rico and didn't make it back in one piece, so the kid is out running a step-in marathon now, trying to get a replacement on that. So, me and the kid chapter today, holding it down. We got Jeff Quatinitz. Did I hit that right, Jeff? Sorry, I should have asked beforehand.
No, shockingly, that was perfect.
Let's go. Nailed it. Jeff Quatinitz in the studio today to talk Big Three, talk about what it's like to be wealthy and successful in real life versus behind Twitter fingers like us degenerates. But at first, a word from our sponsor.
Degenerates from all around the world, NFT projects, and one-of-one artists from every corner of the Solana and Web3 ecosystem have placed their trust in the premier manufacturer of handmade acrylic glass displays. As seen on the DeGod's Dusty's Raffle, with countless collaborations with OG Solana projects such as Soul Sunsets, Bounty Hunter Space Guild, Doge Capital, Kingdom of Dwarves, and soon a very stoned crew of apes. Degen Displays physically mints your favorite JPEGs into captivating centerpieces for your bedroom or living room walls. Each display grants you the unique opportunity to red pill your guests, flex on them, or simply avoids you the trouble of checking your Phantom wallet every 5 minutes to admire your most prized NFTs. To learn more, visit degendisplays.com or follow Degen Displays on Twitter. And one last thing, screenshot this ad timestamp and at Degen Displays on Twitter for a chance to win a special prize from Degen Displays. Good luck.
All right. Chapter. Hit him with the decap.
All right. Yo, just want to say shout out to Refined Bob and all the bros with rolls doing a sublime job defending the spot and derugging the Discord this week. Motherfuckers got to get these characters off. Salute. But for the recap, first, Francisco dropped the State of the Union last week, addressing the FUD, future, and the facts about all this dope shit that's ongoing and moving forward in the motherfucking DeGod universe. Let's see. Fam dropped the whole thing in a short series of like minute-long PowerPoint-ish clips with the narration on Twitter, because we all know motherfuckers don't read. Bullets was bullish. Y'all might have not seen this shit, because the release of this presentation that covered topics like branding, the seasonal merch flood, and the reiteration of the simplicity of dust tokenomics pretty much coincided with wild motherfuckers on the internet charting their visions like Nostradamus and posting targets on all this motherfucking blood in the streets and hella fingers pointing fingers everywhere trying to identify whatever the fuck broke the markets this week. Alexa Play is going down by Young Jock. We'll link the address in the description below. Secondly, Roadmap 3.33 came to fruition and was released, showcasing how artists can execute a fucking map with cryptic and ambiguous precision for the streets to speculate on. Bro, there was so much shit. But yo, this large, thought-provoking depiction was given with zero instructions, though there were some things deciphered. In this roadmap, words were hidden, and once discovered and combined through motherfucking willpower and conviction, some embedded treasure was actually extracted from this infographic. And by treasure, I mean 9,999 dust. Bruh. Yo, salute to the dedicated swashbuckling computer pirate Guios, who looked at the map and said, oh, the booty is free. Pause. But yo, we link in the roadmap and his thread in the description, because there's dead ass not enough calories in my body for me to understand or explain that shit. But well played. Finally, the plot thickens as the squad girth continues to grow. Yo, shout out the homie Scum. He was officially inducted into the core team this week. You know the vibes. Dead Gods, check the one-on-one scene if you unfamiliar with the savage art. And if you on that Patrick Star, living under a fucking rock, stop by episode 3 of DeGodCast and get smart. Also, shout out my man's Buddhas. Always working on shipping shit, all polished and shine, as head of product design. Salute to my guy Otablum, another one of the guys who joined in the grind full time. Fucking bullish on Dior. Also, big shout out to our new associate editor, the fucking Mickey Master Gigabrain Matt.Soul, officially joined the DeGodCast team. If you listening to this in your car, punch that steering wheel and honk your horn for the boys. One honk equals one respect. In other news, we got to talk about motherfuckers pulling up from the 4. That's Big 3 talk. As more Fireball teams unite with more communities, which means more hands to hold these motherfucking L's when they get delivered by these motherfucking killer threes when the season starts next month. These fucking threes coming. But yo, we got someone who know a little too much about the Big Three League in the building. And like always, we don't give financial advice on this show. Entertainment only. And especially today, we also don't give legal advice on this show. Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go. Well done as always. Another wonderful week and a lot to talk about. The only thing you missed, and I know y'all are sick of me talking about it, but Mickey's staking went live. Mickey DeGod's in the house.
Yeah.
Represent. Got to do it or I lose my job. Our producer put together their staking site, so respect to that.
Okay. I mean, it's fine. I just never seen anyone dust that fast. That's all.
Get your dust game going, boys.
Let's go.
So, like I said, though, we've got Big Three co-founder and OG manager to the stars, Jeff Quatinitz, with us today. Jeff, how's it going, boss?
It's going good. How you guys doing?
I'm fantastic.
Yeah, cool,
we actually
man.
do have Slate. I don't know whose MacBook he stole to get in here, but welcome, brother.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Here you good. All right, beautiful.
Oh, we thought you'd be speaking Spanish, bro. But yeah, we hear you.
All right, so we'll start with Big Three because, you know, that's what the people, our listeners know. So we'll start there, and then I got some fun questions for you at the end of the show. All right?
Cool.
Okay. So the first thing that I want to see if you can kind of inform us about is we want to know how these big NFT project partnerships have been going down. Like DeGods was the first one to get on board. We've now seen Bored Apes. We've seen Moonbirds, VFriends. Can you give us a little behind the scenes, a little insight on how NFTs got into the Big Three game and specifically these big projects?
Yeah, for sure. You know, sports is really like it's its own community, you know, and people have always organized sports around geography. So California Angels, Los Angeles Lakers, Los Angeles Dodgers, New York Knicks, you know, Chicago Bulls, you get it. So it's always geography. And, you know, that's cool. But over time, well, let me take a step back. So when you grow up in a city, people learn to root for who their dads or granddads rooted for. I don't know, maybe the mom times,
Yep.
right? But and your neighbors rooting for the same team, and everyone's wearing jerseys from the same team, and you have this sense of community based on your physical community. And with the advent of fantasy sports, people started to you know, it was a great thing at first. Like you look at the NFL, how much, you know, money, how important that was to them. The you know, fantasy sports. By the way, a little interesting tidbit on that is that the NFL used to pay CBS to host their fantasy sports.
Yeah. And the CBS platform is terrible.
Yeah, and eventually they realized, wait a second, why are we paying these motherfuckers to make $1 billion a year on this shit?
Mm-hmm.
Keep all our data and everything. I'm allowed to curse, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's all good, bro.
As much as you want. Yeah.
Don't want to offend anybody. So you know, it became a big business, but people started following players, you know, and it was more about players. And then, you know, I'm ancient enough to remember when like the games you got were like the national games, you know, and look, I was lucky. I was an Oakland Raiders fan, and actually in the 70s, but I'm not that ancient, but the 80s, you know, early 80s, late 70s, they were the most winningest team in all sports. So I got to see them a lot, which was good. Then you'd have sports bars would put satellites on the TV so you could see them. But for years, you could only see the team that you wanted. There was no direct ticket, you know, sports package or any of that shit. And there certainly wasn't internet to see stuff on or hear stuff on. So once you can get all the games, that also started to whittle away at it. And then as players were bigger national stars, you know, LeBron takes his talents to Miami. A lot of people follow LeBron.
Mhm.
You know, Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay, hijacks a couple of his old players. You know, a lot of people in New England watching Tampa Bay Bucks. And couldn't be two more places more different than than Boston and Tampa Bay. Trust me.
Yep.
You know, so but people would follow people, so that would start to break that down, and you get to a point where I think COVID may have even put that on steroids. So now people aren't even living where they're working. There's all kinds of remote stuff going on. So when we started the league, we thought, you know what? The younger generation cares more about players. Let's not have cities. Let's not have, like a city wakes up one day, like in the XFL, they wake up one day and all of a sudden they have a team in Birmingham. It's like, why is anyone going to care about that? Now, to their credit, they got like 40,000 people to a Seattle game. For the life of me, I couldn't understand how they were able to get 40,000 people to go and scream about a team they never heard of a year before. But they pulled it off. But they weren't able to pull it off in a lot of cities. So we left that open. So for years, Cube and I used to think, what would be the organizing principle? Like maybe have all the short guys on one team, maybe have all the guys who are badasses and got, thrown out of the NBA. But
Put all the white dudes on one team.
yeah, obviously can't do that anymore. Probably never should have. But, so when this came around and we started thinking about, how do you get fans closer to players? I mean, we're fans. Cube and I we're fans of a lot of things, but we both love football and basketball, and so we know, what it's like to be a fan. I mean, I got lucky. I made enough money that I was able to live my life's dream. My dad never took me to a Knicks game. We lived in Brooklyn, then we lived in New Jersey. He went to tons of them. He used to go to New York Islanders. He never took me to a game. But I would watch all the games, and I would come home. He'd come home. I memorized the box score. I knew all this stuff. I was such a diehard Knicks fan. And by the way, I'm looking for some empathy here. I'm looking for some.
Are you still a diehard Knicks fan? That was my question.
I mean, Dolan makes it tough, but I'll tell you this. I am. And, 30 years ago was one thing, but like now I have to face the prospect that I might die never seeing the Knicks win again.
Yeah.
I was like 7 years old when they won in 73. It's like, no one said, man, you better not pick this team. They might not win for 100 years. But I am a fan. I've never been a fair weather fan, and I love that team. I love the Oakland Raiders. That seemed like the smarter of choices for a little while. Then it got really dark and bad. But getting back to it, started to realize, what about communities? Communities used to be Chicago and Baltimore. But now communities are happening online. Communities are not, where your mom's womb was when you came out. It's like where you desire to go, the group that you have affinity towards that represents what you represent. So how cool, how powerful would that be? So while we were came up with this idea to take these 12 teams and, give people all kinds of ownership-like experiences and get people close to, to the players, to the coaches, so they could feel it. They could feel part of it. What I was saying before, I got lucky enough that I lived my dream. I had 4 floor-side seats at the Garden to the Knicks, and man, it was cool. And like Spike Lee, he's so jealous of me, man, because I swear to God, I was the first high five. He was number 2. But
I was gonna say something about Spike Lee. That's funny.
I swear to God, he acted like a little jealous bitch, man. I hope he doesn't listen to this, but I mean, what more could he,
I'm gonna send him the episode.
Man, I was on that court, and I'd go to games. I had a cheat sheet that had all the refs, their numbers and their names. So I knew all their names, and I'd call them by their names. And when you're on the floor, you ever see like the coaches yelling down to their side, and you're like, why is that guy yelling? He can't hear. There's 18,000 people here. But the way an acoustics work in an arena, you can hear everybody on the floor. So I made use of that. That's why the guys like me. And Amari Stoudemire, and Mello and stuff. I got real involved, working the refs for them, and it was real fun, man. But I felt part of the game. Now, was I really getting the calls I thought I was getting? Maybe one or two of them. I did have refs come over and tell me I was right on some stuff. But a few times they yelled at me and told me I didn't know what I was talking about. Need to take a few weeks off and go study the rule book. But it was a different feeling, for me being there, and I know people feel that. And then when you get to meet these guys, and for me, the drag was Dolan. He was a drag on the team. They weren't having fun. That's why I got rid of my tickets, because at some point I said, and I had the greatest time. I had him for like 10 years. It was so great. And that's when I was living in New York. I had a place in New York. I was living in LA and New York, going back and forth. But I do all my scheduling around the Knicks games. I mean, I really did. Like when one of the security guys found out it was from LA, he was like, whatever, dude. We don't believe you. Because I 1 year I made 36 out of the 41 home games in the regular
season.
Jeez. And
you take the PJ at all those games?
They take who?
The PJ, the private jet?
No, I don't have a private jet, man.
Oh.
A couple times I could have made some money selling some companies, but didn't believe in I didn't believe in it. I didn't believe in the models that they were doing. And Cube and I, you know what? We've been together for over 25 years. And one of the reasons is because I like my courtside seats. I like the car I drive. I like living in nice places. I like going to restaurants, and I'm blessed. I don't have to look at the price of all the menu,
Yeah, for sure.
Because, I'm blessed, and I've worked really hard for it, and I'm not embarrassed by it in any way. But Cube and I don't love money, and there's a big difference. Liking money, I think is cool. What's wrong with liking nice things? They're nice things because we've determined they're nicer, and I like doing things for people. I like taking care of my kids, my wife, but I will not sell my soul for money. Cube will not sell his soul for money. Loving money is a problem in this country, man. It's what it's about, and I tell people, I know some people who have recently made, I'm sorry if we're going off on a tangent, but it hit me.
A little bit, but that's what we do.
All right. I got some people who've made a lot of money in crypto or in different PFP projects or, different things within, this space. And a lot of them are just really good dudes, good women who finally, they did something. Maybe they got lucky. Maybe they saw it. They all have different stories. And, a lot of them are doing really good things with it. But then there's some people who you see who think all of a sudden like they're a different person or a better person because they have money, and money is the only thing there, and that's not. I think that's something that people need to be careful of, because I saw it so much in Hollywood, But going back to the question about communities, it hit us that, wait a second, these communities could be our geographic replacement. And it makes so much more sense. And so we went, started talking to a few people. You guys were the first, Sean, my bro Sean.
Yeah.
He owns the DeGods. He told me about Frank. We got on the phone, started talking about stuff. And it was about excitement and something that he thought could help the community and help rise profile and ultimately bring value, to collection and everything. He was about, man, I want a team. I want a team to win. I want to play other communities and all kinds of creative ideas, and just that excitement and energy, rather than, I was born in Chicago, so I really like the White Sox. It was like,
I have to, or my dad will disown me.
Exactly. And it was a choice. And following him, we had developed a relationship, Cube and I, with Gary Vee, and he's really smart. I mean, that guy. Maybe I'm telling everyone what they already know, but he's like really quick. He's fast. You know, look, we all have opinions. None of us are right all the time, but so far he's been right with everything he's told us. And he's a guy super smart, and
Yeah.
he seems to really care. No, it's not seems. He really cares about the projects and making sure that they're good and taking care of people, and I like that. And we met Bill. We met this very successful investor, Bill Lee. He bought one of the one-on-ones on an NFT drop that Ice Cube did with Trevor Jones. And even that, like Sean and I, we reached out to Trevor because we had gone through all this art that was online. We looked to see like who was really doing stuff, and his stuff spoke out to us. And he was one of the people we reached out to. We were like, Ice Cube wants to do something, but he doesn't want to just be a guy who just hires some graphic designer and does some bullshit. Like, we want to use the form to do something that will stand the test of time artistically. If we can make money, great. But artistically, we wanted it to matter. So those guys worked. There was a lot of talking, a lot of exchanging of information. Cube sent them a bunch of lyrics that had never been published.
Word.
That they talked about, conceptually what this could be. It turned into this man versus machine collection. And, we had a highly successful drop. Kind of had the same thing we just had on Saturday, where the open edition, there was so many people that it crashed the Nifty Gateway site. That's why I kept telling my engineers on this, dude. If we can crash Nifty Gateway, please. The only thing that happened is crash and crash.
Yeah, we did something right.
Yeah.
Wait, we're gonna pretend that you were talking about Frank when you were saying all those nice things, even though we know you were talking about Gary Vee. And yeah, Gary Vee is a legend in the crypto, in the Web3 space. Honestly, it didn't occur to me to look at the NFT communities as your sports team community, but it makes total sense because when you think about it, we're 10,000 people, more even maybe, all rooting for this project to do well. And in the same sense that I'm one of X millions or thousands of like Green Bay Packer fans, for example, that am just rooting for the project, the team to do well. So very creative thinking on your guys' end to kind of put that connection together and think, all right, how can we break away from just the geographical connection to these teams and make it more of a I'm going to say Web3 experience because that's pretty much what you've done. So I have two questions to piggyback off of that. The first being, and this is for me because I don't know, what was the ownership of these teams like prior to this buyout by these NFT projects? And then what do you expect with this new ownership model of these communities owning the teams? What are your expectations going into this season as far as, I don't know, ratings, fan engagement, things like that with these newfound fans through NFTs and crypto?
Well, I think it's only going to help. And in fairness, I started with Gary Vee. I was just going in geographical order.
Geographical order. Word.
The one-on-ones is in with the My Doge community, and that's how we got into My Doge. The Kraus House, they were looking for an NBA team, couldn't get one, so that's why we, they voted, 100% for us. Then we got the Moonbirds in because Bill Lee on a Fox News, a business news broadcast, said that what we're doing is much bigger than owls and apes and all this. So the owls were insulted, so they called and said they want. But going back to how this helps, I mean, everything that creates stakes and emotion and the sense of competition around sports makes the league better. It makes there's more people rooting for you. The ratings, our ratings are bigger than MLS. Our ratings are really good. for a league that's been so young. And now with these communities, they could be even better. We think they will be, because now we have, more of a tapped in fan base that feels attached to it. And when you say, that you guys have 10,000 people in the community, you have way more, because people hear you guys, they hear this, they hear, they hear Frank doing things, they see Twitter spaces, and more importantly, for everyone who has, one of the PFPs or one of the pieces of art, they have people who see them, who they explain it to. They have spouses, they have friends, you know. Um, people are hanging out and checking them out, So I think, who knows how big the community is? It ain't 10,000,
Yeah, everyone wants to know what it's all about.
Could be 100,000, could be 1,000,000. I mean, over time, you guys, your community is going to get better, and by tapping into another thing that promotes community, which is sports, right? Gives you another unite around something. And even if you're not a sports fan, you still want your community's representatives to win, especially depending upon who they're playing. If there's another community that, either for good reasons or bad reasons, you want to lose. So it's another thing that, it's a win-win. Both sides get to work off the community of the other, and it's also why we sold 8 of the 12 communities, and selling meant we sold all 25 of the fire tiers, which give the fire tiers, by doing a direct contract and not going on the public markets, we're able to give an ownership piece, an actual ownership piece. We're able, to give things like, all kinds of experiences, being flown to games, meet and greets, special, sitting in an owner suite, getting to go to practices, getting to have a weekly chat with a video chat with the guys on the team, and having a chat with the refs, which means you get to scream and yell at the refs. How could you make this call? What do you see here? And to really be part of the game, and whether it's on our Discord or on your channels and stuff, to be able to talk to other people about the game. And there's something else in common that not everybody has to be into it, but it's another topic of conversation that the community is involved in. So I think if people care more, they're going to tune in more.
Yeah,
for sure.
You're going to get, I'm a sports fan before I even knew what an NFT was. So I know how sports Twitter can get. And I can only imagine, you have these massive NFT communities that already at sometimes might butt heads on Twitter, and you get us live on national television on CBS in a basketball game, and it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. So I for one, as a self-proclaimed not even that big of a basketball guy, am incredibly fired up for the Big 3 season already, just because I love sports, I love talking shit, I love camaraderie, and I love, having something to rally behind.
Yeah, I generally don't watch sports at all, really, unless I have like some sort of personal attachment to it. So like when I went to Madison,
it's
I watched
literally the
Badgers.
only reason people watch sports is a personal attachment.
Right. Well, I mean, no, some people watch it no matter what, like they watch all the games. Like when I went to Madison, I watched all the games, and then my brother played at Northwestern. Jeff, I think you went there. So I watched all those games too, and that was exciting. But like it's been years, and I haven't had like a sports team to watch. So as a nerd that doesn't watch sports, I'm excited for this, even though, it's not really in my purview normally.
Yeah. On that note, what is the schedule normally like for these games? Like, are we talking prime time? Or are we talking like weekend afternoon? Like,
yeah, like weekend afternoon.
Okay.
The playoffs and the finals edge more into the 6 and 7 o'clock time period, but it's usually around like 4, to 6.
Perfect. Happy hour.
Right in there. Happy hour.
Perfect. I'm a big hockey fan, and right now it's NHL playoffs, and There's a lot of afternoon games, big day drinker. So I'm literally picturing in my head, like having the boys over to watch a Big Three game at 4 o'clock on a Saturday and just, yugging beers to the killer threes, stomping on whatever Snoop Dogg's team is.
Yeah. What Slay was saying, man, it's funny because I did go to Northwestern. When did your brother graduate?
He just graduated like maybe 2014 or 2015. It was the year that they went to the tournament finally.
He's a basketball player. Yeah. All right. Let me tell you, we were the last team in Division I to go to that tournament, man. And I couldn't figure it out. We have all these amazing players in Chicago. It only takes really one a basketball team is a team, like any team sport. But like football, you got a lot of, we used to get our ass kicked by Wisconsin, actually by everybody in the conference. People, and I graduated in 87. We won 3 games in the 4 years I was there. We tore down the goalpost when we beat.
Oh, God.
It's like, but in basketball, I used to be like, what the hell, man? You just need to just find one of these Chicago superstars. Just take a 10-mile drive and go get them. But we haven't been able to crack it except for that season. But, football, we've gotten good. But when you look at like college sports and you see with the camaraderie around it. See, that's because it's not just about city, right? It's that there's all these people who shared experiences going to the same school, partying at the school, and whether it's, 80-year-olds, who are alumni or 20-year-olds who are going there, they feel like a different camaraderie and attachment that's different from just cities. And we're trying to get to that. So that's a great comment,
And another connection, speaking of partying, another thing that I saw when I was reading your bio was that you were the president of DU at Northwestern, and I was in that fraternity at Madison as well. So I guess I can call you Brother Jeff from now on.
That's awesome.
Let's go.
I slept on your floor like twice.
Yo, do you guys have any like frat boy shit you can share on the show real quick? A secret handshake, secret slogan, anything?
Not that I remember, man.
A couple years separated, I guess the traditions may have changed.
No, I will tell you. I'm surprised you missed this, man. It's like we do not have a secret handshake or secret set.
Yeah, we're an anti-secrecy fraternity.
Secrecy. We just spent partying. We didn't have time to
Word
bullshit. I love that. Did you hoop at all in like high school or college, Jeff, or how'd you get into basketball?
I played 1 year in high school. I was I was a really good athlete, but I was not. Basketball. There's a thing like an instinct that you see. You see in players like how did he move that way, and it's almost not to be cliche, but it's almost like a ballet in a way. Like guys see stuff, and I didn't see it, man. I was like basketball blind out there. So
yeah.
I just, I was decent enough to be on the court, but I was never going to be great. I was more a football and a tennis player. But see, when you're young and you're tall, they make you play like center or forward.
Yep.
And what good is that? Because then you're like, all right, I'm 6'4", and now like they wouldn't let me play guard. But I love the sport, man. I do. I respect it so much. I respect these players, man. They play hard, and what we got. That goes again back to what you said. Our players, we allow shit talking. We allow shit talking. We allow hand checking. Our games are much more physical. They're faster than NBA games. The half court thing. Let me tell you, when you're in that space and it goes from offense to defense instantly,
yeah, word.
It's very quick, man. It's not like, our best guys could be the NBA's best guys under 25 and 3-on-3 every time. because there's so much basketball IQ and understanding the actual strategy of the game.
Is there any incentive that you would say for NBA players to come play in the Big Three right now, or is that something that you guys would like to create? I know it's like a summer league, so obviously the schedules are different. Anyone could play, I would assume, in both leagues, maybe.
Well, see, the guys who play internationally, they're allowed to, because those guys wouldn't, the international teams wouldn't get players if they didn't allow that. But the NBA doesn't allow people to play professionally. They could play on I don't know the exact terms of the contracts, but maybe in one or two like charity games and stuff. People weren't allowed to play two sports until Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson came along and said, "Well, I'm playing two sports if you want me to play for you," and we'll get those players. That'll happen. There's been some players that have tried to do both, but you need someone who's got all the leverage. Because they could do it. The seasons do work, and the idea that these guys, they don't want to get these guys hurt, that they're just sitting at home, taking it easy, is a joke. I mean, a lot of these guys are out playing, and at least we have refs and we have, medical staff if something happens. But, I'm sure the NBA would be nervous about it because our games are a lot tougher. James Harden in the New York Times said, there's no NBA regular season game that's as physical or as impactful.
Yeah, God forbid LeBron played in a physical game. Couldn't have that.
Dude.
Is there any beef between Big Three and NBA? Do they think you're stepping on their toes or anything like that, or is it pretty civil?
It's an interesting question. They haven't dissed us the way I just dissed them. Because I think they're a little worried about it. There were some things that we had to work through the first season, and I think that they, saw the light and let us do that. But the NFL right now, they're helping the USFL and the XFL. They're doing stuff. CNN is good for the sport. The NBA has taken 15 things from us between marketing ideas and rules and stuff. We're obviously good for them. And plus, a lot of our coaches are Hall of Famers. A lot of our players, we're and we're not playing 5-on-5 full court. And we've made it a different sport. It's called fire.
Sure.
And we've changed so many rules of what FIBA, which is the international body of 3-on-3, they're the ones who deal with the Olympics and everything. We got the best FIBA players in our league now, and it's just, we think it's good for the NBA. A lot of the NBA owners have been super supportive. We've had almost 200 players come to games, which you don't see NFL guys at AAF or XFL, and they're coming not to so-called support their friends. They're coming because they love it, and they love seeing it. And it's disappointing that the NBA has made it really hard for us. And the way they made it hard, they put some pressure on, on networks. They put some pressure on sponsors, some that we've caught them on, some that we haven't, and some of it's just subtle, We've had a lot of conversations with sponsors at high levels where they're like, well, if you did something with the NBA, then we could. So it's actually just disappointing because we're a league that we have women coaches who both won championships. We have a female chairman of the board. She was Amy Trask. She was the CEO of the Raiders during, when Al Davis was there. Most powerful woman in sports. We have a black commissioner, a black owner in Cube, and then we got some old Jewish white guys like me. So everyone, it shouldn't. It's not like that's a big deal because actually, I remember when Nancy Lieberman asked Cube, so why do you want me to coach? You want me to coach because you're breaking a barrier with a woman coaching. And he was like, hell no, I want you to coach because I think you might win.
Oh yeah.
And she did. And she won that year. And the coaches and players voted her coach of the year. And then the same thing happened with Lisa Leslie the next year. So, we're doing things for the right reason. And it's funny, the NBA, they could have all their sayings on the court, about racial justice and all of that. And they could all line up and take a knee together, which, I don't know. I think it's kind of pandering and even maybe racist in its own thing. Like, oh, let's all take a knee, and then our black fan base will be happy. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Cube and I have been doing a lot of stuff with the NFL around the contract with Black America, which Cube and I worked on, primarily Cube. After George Floyd, we put this thing out and got really involved and trying to get companies to hire more black businesses because there's a 12-to-1 wealth gap in America. Black families have 1/12 of white families, and that's fucking crazy. I mean, that's crazy.
That's wild.
And the crazier thing is it's the worst it's ever been now. And it's gone on a straight line from 1861 all the way through. It goes in, it doesn't go in an exact straight line, but it consistently goes up. And there's reasons for that, I know this isn't the place to go into it, but what we all know is that, the shit is just not cool. And you don't have to believe, some people think, oh, slavery had nothing to do with it. It was 400 years ago. Some people believe it's about property rights. Some people believe, it's, I mean, I don't know how they get to this, but, there are just people who say, oh, it's their fault, blah, blah, blah. But regardless of what it is, if it's 12-to-1 by race, it's a problem. And you don't have to really be a sleuth to figure out the answer. It's irrelevant how it got that way. It's a problem. It's unstable. It's not good for the country. So, our thing has always been help black businesses. And the NFL, they stepped up, man. And we've been working with them quietly behind the scenes for a year. And they've spent $150 million on black businesses since we started working with them. We were going to announce it at the draft, but it screwed up for some other reasons. We'll be doing a press conference soon. But we didn't want to announce it when we did it with them because we wanted to put points on the board first because everybody would think, oh, is this like a Jay-Z thing? They just react to Kaepernick. And I'll just tell you that Troy Vincent and Roger Goodell, Cube and I believe them. They want to make a difference. And we've seen them do it. I mean, they've taken $150 million that would have went to other businesses, and they've put them into black businesses. And it doesn't really cost them anything because these are vendors, financial services, banks, IT companies, PR companies, that they're hiring people anyway. Mm-hmm. But why not hire someone out of your comfort zone and let's break down some barriers? And in the meantime, we have a company, who then comes from a community and employs people, and who knows how much it could help. I just know, when it comes to the NBA, they check boxes. They make it look like they're doing stuff. They have some hashtags on the side of shit, but at the end of the day, Clyde Drexler, who is one of the best NBA players ever.
Oh yeah.
We have coaches like Dr. J and George Gervin and Gary Payton, Hall of Famers, one after another. Rick Barry. And here's a league that empowers players, and players have a percentage of the league. And, Clyde Drexler, first black commissioner, Cube, first black owner, and they're fucking with us. And that's their contribution to black progress. It pisses me off, and maybe it's easier for me to say because I'm a white dude. So it shocks me because, you know, I mean, I was really involved in college and at law school in a lot of these movements and everything. And I thought, well, it could only get better. It's only going to go one way. It was a matter of how quick. But the opposite has happened. And it's really a drag. And I remember, like, I'll get so frustrated, and Cube's like, man, that's the problem. You know, born white. So you thought the world was a good place till you were like 13 or 14. When you're black, by the time you're 3 years old, you know, this world ain't built for me. And that in itself is sad. That's not how it should be, obviously. But we're trying to do something with it. We're trying to do it with the league, trying to do it with our work with other leagues. You know, there's some talks going on.
Oh, yeah.
With Nike, with MLS, a couple other sports leagues, but not the NBA. Like, most of the owners are awesome. And by the way, I can't tell you an owner that hasn't been awesome. It's just that we don't get to meet them all. But, you know, whether it's Jeannie Buss, you know, or obviously Mark Cuban, who's, you know, so cool, you know.
When's he going to buy a Big Three team? I guess he can't.
He's not allowed to.
Yeah, that's crazy. He'd be an awesome Big Three owner.
Oh, dude.
I again, not a basketball guy, but just like reading up on the Big Three and looking at, you know, the commissioner and some of the coaches. Like, I don't know many basketball people, but I know like Gary Payton. I know Dr. J. I know our coach, Charles Oakley. I'm curious what your thoughts, being a Knicks fan. Are you a Charles Oakley fan as well?
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. Because we're anti-Dolan, right?
Well, the only Knicks fan that isn't a Charles Oakley fan is Dolan.
Yeah.
By the way, I was at that game. When he got kicked out.
Oh, no way.
My wife. And it was actually shocking because, you know, if you're a Knicks fan through the late 80s, when we had the rivalry with the Bulls, which, damn, that's a tough rivalry to have. And, you know, Oakley, that guy left it on the floor. He played 100%. And people who lived through that team with Ewing and Mason and Oakley and Starks, you know, they might be a little mad at Starks. I'm still a little salty about him. Most people have forgiven him. You know, he went 3 for 26 in the playoffs and didn't get us our ring. But, I mean, those guys played hard. They just had, you know, Michael Jordan was in the league. Well, we were great. But Michael Jordan is like, you know, guy's the greatest by a mile. But Oakley, man, that guy gave us everything. He gave the city everything. And then to treat him like that, you know, that incident when he got thrown out, that was it. That's when I canceled my season tickets. I was like, that's it. I can't support this shit. I don't care if he has a line of 100 people who are going to take my place. I just can't. It was just bad. And also watching the guys on the court, watching Melo, watching Amari, watching these guys not be happy. And then I'm like looking at the Warriors, you know, and this is even before the Warriors were winning. They're just having a ball out there.
Yeah.
It comes back to this, right? Because going to a Knicks game when the players aren't having fun is really not fun. Now, it might be for other people, you know, all these hedge fund guys. It's a good place for them to meet and do business and all that bullshit. I was just a fan. I was a Knicks fan. You know, I almost got in a fight with Kanye because he was like yelling at me for going hard on LeBron.
That's Slate's boy. Watch out.
No. But I love Kanye. Kanye is the man. But he's like, man, Jeff, you're like a big Hollywood manager. Like, chill out. I was like, dude, when I walk in the Garden, I'm a Knicks fan, man, and I ain't nothing. Yeah. I'm what I was when I was 7. Nothing else. But like you guys, like I see, like the gods, like blowing us up, like the energy around it, the positivity. You know, the stuff that you guys have brought to it. See, that is You may not be basketball fans, but see, that is the heart of it. The heart of it is not the technical shit. The heart of it is like having fun. It is a game, isn't it? I mean, it's a
yeah.
So and who's got like that energy anymore? I said this on a Twitter space with you. Man, this country, like everyone's just yelling at and screaming at each other, and the lies and the shit from both sides. Everybody's just angry all the time.
Yeah, motherfuckers not having fun.
Yeah,
Yes.
you guys have fun. You guys are like
every day.
in your community. You know, the first things when we started our Discord, and I'm seeing like people answering other people's questions and helping people, and I'm like, this is like so different than what I.
It's definitely like all love in NFTs. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Well, it's all love until we're playing the other team, and then I'm gonna be fucking courtside screaming down somebody's throat.
Yeah, I've been telling people recently that like since I've been on like NFT and crypto Twitter, like I haven't seen real like news. I mean real news to me is like all that doom and gloom stuff, like there's a mass shooting or Trump said this or whatever. Like I've just been like completely tuned out. It's like a different world where like everyone's happy. It's great.
It really is, man, because I'm not tuned out to that other stuff. I'm a news junkie, and at times in my life I've been very involved politically, and it's refreshing going back and being in the crypto NFT space. Just like there's always haters and whatever, but that's life,
Word.
It ain't heaven. It's not Eden, but man, it's so good that the default thing is love and positivity, and we need more of that. And that alone is what's cool about tapping into these communities, because unlike the NBA, we do care about our players first. Not that the NBA has had to care more about them as they've had more power. LeBron has a lot of power. A lot of the best players for the first time have real power, and a lot of them make more money off the court than on it. So all of a sudden they don't have to be like like little slaves. Like if I don't do what they tell me, I'm going to lose my lifeline. And that's a good development. At the same time, we're not paying people fuck you money. So, but Cube and I come from the artist world. So we try to show the players and coaches respect. It's still a business, and it's only a business because we got to stay in business or it goes away, but we want that positivity, and it's worked. The players appreciate it. Every interaction isn't good, but the vast majority are, and we're always trying to do the right thing.
Oh yeah.
And usually we succeed. Not always, but usually. And when that's why we were really selective about which communities we wanted in. We could have sold 30 of these teams. There's some people salty at us for not giving them teams, but it was more about because they had one or two rich ballers that wanted it, and it wasn't really. It was more about ego stuff than actually having fun with it and making it work and being part of the whole thing. So I'm proud of us. I'm proud of Cube that we kept the discipline. We always wanted to make sure we had a certain number of teams that people could buy the fire tiers, So we ended up selling 8 of them of the 12. But every community is great. We're psyched.
Yeah, can I make one request? Because we've already expanded from 8 to 12 teams, and I'd imagine you guys plan on expanding more. Can we add into the rule book that any future expansion teams can't use a fucking pun on the word 3 in their name? There's like 6 out of 12 teams that are fucking Three's Company, Three-Headed Monsters, the Killer Threes, the Trilogy. Like, can we give up on the Threes puns already and just, be original?
You have to take that up with Ice Cube.
That's fine. Can we get him on real quick?
I don't know where he is right now.
No, I just thought it was funny because like our NFT community, like we got 33.3%. That's like our shit. So when we got the killer threes as a team, I was like, oh my God, it's perfect. But I didn't realize that there were like 5 other teams that also had threes in the name.
Pretty funny. The newer ones don't have the threes.
Yeah. Okay. I respect that. What's your big 3 team, or are you not allowed to have one?
Oh, I mean, of course I'm not allowed to. I mean, I'm not allowed to like.
Well, the reason I ask is because like, I love to talk shit, and it sounds like when you're courtside, you love to talk shit. So I'm trying to figure out which game we can be at where like me and you have like a courtside off, if you will, because that sounds absolutely electric.
It's tough for me because
you'll be in the founder's suite.
No, I'm actually usually at the scores table working the games, but hopefully I'm not going to do that this year. But I'll take the 2 of you to a Northwestern Wisconsin football game, and maybe we could go at it there.
Hey, Northwestern versus Wisconsin.
Let's
I'm
go.
Bucky all day, baby. I got my brats on State Street sweater in the closet right here. I'm ready to go. I know Slate's the one that went there, but I'm the one with family from Wisconsin. So
yeah, let's go in Wisconsin because obviously, it's a better atmosphere there, and we got a better DU house there. So yeah, it just makes sense to go to the game there too.
He knows. He slept on the floor.
No, I did sleep on the floor because what we do. Listen, we tailgated to every Big Ten team, and there were actually only 10 teams in the Big Ten. Imagine that. Now there's 14. But we went to we road tripped to everyone, and we would just show up. We'd knock at the DU and say, hey, we're DUs from Northwestern. And that's great. So what the fuck do you want? We'd be like, oh, you're supposed to let us in. We're supposed to be. So
we're brothers.
Yeah, so it actually is a thing, So we would always sleep like in the chapter room, and we were in Wisconsin. It was back when I was there, they'd lose every game, so we'd play like everybody's homecoming. One year we played 7 homecomings. It's like everybody wanted to play. They'd win the alumni of that, and we're sleeping in Wisconsin, and in the place in Wisconsin, and my buddy starts kicking me, dude. Wake up, look around, man. And we're like all in our underwear, sleeping in under blankets on the floor.
In the chapter room there?
Yeah, in the chapter room. And there's all these alumni. We slept late the alumni event.
Oh, no.
Like, all got to slink out of here. It's unbelievable.
Oh, man. All right, can we talk a little bit of Hollywood now?
We can.
All right. So my first question, this is your ease in, lead in question. How do you go from Harvard Law to Hollywood?
I was already, when I was at Northwestern, actually, I started booking bands at DU, then booking bands on the campus, and then started doing stuff in Chicago. And I took a year off before law school, lived across from the Biograph in Chicago, Biograph Theater. I used to tell chicks that Dillinger got shot from my window.
Oh, shit.
Maybe he did. I don't know. It was good. Believe it or not, that shit works. But,
I believe it.
I guess it works when they want it to work. I had a year, according to phone records. I spent the year there. I remember at least 3 weeks, but towards the end of that, I was like, I gotta go to Harvard Law or I'll die here in Chicago. I partied so hard, but I was booking bands and started managing a band named Material Issue, who was an amazing Chicago band, a little ahead of its time. They're like Green Day before Green Day, and at Harvard, got them signed to a record deal at Mercury, which is now part of Universal, and sold a few 100,000 records. And I was like, I opened a little office with a couple people, we were calling radio stations, getting things done. And, you know, so when I graduated, you know, drove out to LA and started working as both a lawyer and a manager, and just couldn't stick with the law stuff because just arguing just about a bunch of stuff that wasn't relevant. Because as a manager, I knew what was important. So it turned into, you know, where I started managing bigger and bigger bands.
Nice.
And we bought Mike Ovitz's company. We'd already been doing some stuff in film, but that really, Mike Ovitz was the founder of CAA, and he started a management company. And my old partner, Rick Yorn, who still manages, he's the biggest film manager, was then, still is. DiCaprio, Scorsese, Benicio del Toro.
Ever heard of him?
Yeah, exactly. He's all I heard.
Yeah, Scorsese's the GOAT.
Even me, like Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
That's a nice small one. You know, so that's how I got into it. So we actually built the biggest talent management company ever.
Yeah. Hell yeah, the firm, baby. So you know, having started in music, I feel like the obvious question, obvious follow-up question there is like, who's your favorite artist? But I want to know, and tell me if this is something you can't answer for any reason, but I feel like we're all friends here. We can talk. It's just the boys. Who was the worst music artist to work with, either because they were high maintenance or they were aggressive or they were just an absolute monster? Who was the worst to work with?
Well, I mean, the thing is, I was lucky. We, you know, part of what I thought was a successful formula is I'd only work with acts I believed in and liked. But in a very early on, we helped get General Public back together, and had a #1 song with a cover from the Staple Singer, I'll Take You There. And it was from a movie that I'm sure no one who's listening will have ever heard. It's called Threesomes. And we had a #1 hit. And Dave Wakeling, who was like he was the English Beat and then General Public, and people had written them off that they were done. And I got them back together, and all the other guys in the band were like, listen, I'll do it, but just so you know, we're warning you that you shouldn't do it because Wake is a really bad guy. I mean, like, what are you talking about? He's so sweet. I think he's learned his lesson and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, that was my first experience of, no, he didn't learn his lesson. He just was poor and unsuccessful at the time. As soon as he had another hit, it was right back to who he was.
He's back on that bullshit.
Hell yeah.
I will tell you that I did get to work with a lot of really great people. You know, I managed Snoop Dogg for 10, 11 years. And he's the greatest. And
yeah, shout out to Snoop. Hey, hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Enrique Iglesias and Linkin Park and Korn. I was really lucky. Limp Bizkit, a lot, you know, whatever you think, they were the biggest rock band in the world for a time.
Oh, yeah.
And Fred Durst went out and tried to figure out how to get everyone to hate him, and he kind of succeeded. So you could say that he was the hardest because he actually went out to destroy his career. It's a complicated psychological analysis.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a psych, but Fred's a good guy. You know, I got along with Fred. I still do. I still talk to him. And, you know, I think he regrets a lot of stuff he did, but he did some mean stuff to some people. People will say that I did. But, you know, the way I did it is I always fought for my artists, man. That was it, you know. I managed the Backstreet Boys, and at what they do, they were the best. They were better. Yeah. Think they were better than these other.
Think who?
And you know, I'll tell you, my favorite artist, obviously, it's Ice Cube, because when I decided to get out of,
that's a cop out.
No, but I'm gonna try, and then I'm gonna give you the other one.
There, okay.
So when I got out of management, Cube was the one guy I wanted to stay with and stay in because the guy's a unicorn, man. He's so talented, but he's such like a loyal and he works his ass off. That guy could be running a Fortune 500 company. He would be if he wasn't so great in art. My most favorite artist also is Roger Waters from Pink Floyd. And through some weird stuff, I ended up becoming really good friends with him. Never done business with him, never wanted to, because we have like a real friendship that has nothing to do with music, although we can relate to each other through music and lyrics. I think he's the best lyricist ever. All this, Bob Dylan shit, I'm not buying it. Roger Waters is the best there is. And he lives his truth, man. And he's a controversial guy. A lot of people say he's hard to get along with, and certainly he was hard to get along with, inside of his band because they broke up. But like, I'm just blown away by his talent. I'll also tell you that, Jennifer Lopez, who I worked with twice. Once I fired her, then the second time she fired me. Unfortunately, she had a good reason to fire me, but she's a sweetheart, man, and she doesn't always have that reputation. When she did American Idol, I don't know, 10, 12 years back, it was really good for her because people got to hear her. She had a lot of divas and a lot of crazy people around her that gave her that thing. But he's the closest thing I saw to Ice Cube in terms of working hard, talent in all kinds of areas. And she's really a great person. And I want to say I am so psyched that she is with Ben Affleck because I met her through Ben the first time around this whole Geely thing. You guys are probably like 3. That was the craziest shit ever. Like the paparazzi, and the paparazzi followed me 24/7, and I ain't even lying. Just on the chance that I might lead them to her, which is crazy because it's not like I was meeting with her every other day. But those guys love each other, and it should have worked the first time. We got pushed apart, and I've been telling people for all the years in between, I pray that one day she gets back with Ben. She was with Mark Anthony for most of when I managed her, and I have no problem saying you asked me who the toughest or the worst person that I worked with. So I didn't manage him. I didn't work with him, but that guy is a straight up dick. Is a bad, evil human being.
Yikes! Why did you get fired? I mean, I would kill to say that I've been fired by J-Lo, but why did you get fired?
There was a period of my life where I was just being a little irresponsible, partying too much, and I wasn't 100%, and she knew it.
Sure. Okay.
And I feel bad about that, but we've talked about it, and I don't see her that much, obviously.
Yeah, me either.
I saw her like a year ago, and she's awesome.
Nice.
She was like my first crush when I was a wee lad, and before I knew that I being attracted to women or whatever, I was like, oh my gosh, J-Lo, she's mommy, dude.
Yeah, I still think that now. But yeah, if you ever want to put in a good word,
for sure.
Me and my wife would love to double date with Ben and J-Lo anytime. We're free. So, but actually, I have a question on the partying note.
Yeah.
Who would you say, and this could be in the past or could be present, who throws the best parties in Hollywood? Like when we get super rich and famous from this podcast that's obviously going to blow up, like who do I need to be boys with so that I can get all the good invites?
It's not the same, man.
Oh, I believe it.
Stern used to have the best parties. If you ask Howard Stern, the best party he's ever been to, I just know because he brings it up like once a year on the air, was the the firm Grammy party. We used to have our parties like at South by Southwest, at the Grammys, at the VMAs, at the Oscars, but they all started at like 2 a.m. So the rules were everybody go to your record label or studio or network party.
Yeah.
Do your schmoozing you got to do, and then come to our party. And we didn't allow any suits. It was only creatives. Dude, we had a jam with Dr. Dre and Kid Rock and 2 of the Metallica guys with 2 of the Backstreet Boys guys and Rob Zombie.
Holy
all
shit.
got together and started jamming.
Good
That's
God.
fucking sick. Holy
It was
shit.
like crazy.
Hell yeah.
Like, but you know.
You still party at all?
So you throw the
No,
best
I
parties
used
in
to.
Hollywood.
I got out and this.
Used to, yeah. Yo, that's
Okay.
fucking wild, bro.
They're really. I mean, you know, it's different time, man. People are afraid of saying the wrong shit. You know,
Word.
you know, since COVID, like they don't even allow parties. You know,
True. Yeah.
There's too much political correctness, man. It's like I thought art was about a freedom of expression. Like I thought that, and it was. You know, it's hard to explain. Like the reason my family, we left LA a few months ago, and I never imagined I would ever do that. But people are just like judgmental. Like we all had our opinions. I was an opinionated motherfucker. I always thought I was right, but it didn't mean I had the right to tell someone else they were wrong. And lo and behold, what do you know? I wasn't always right. You know, like in shocking news. But like this new thing is like we're right and we're gonna help all the stupid people because they shouldn't talk because we know better. I don't know. I don't want to get too political on this. You know.
Yeah, the thing is these days you can say something, you know, and then someone can say you're wrong and they can easily get a whole mob, a million, 2 million people to tell you that you're an idiot and a piece of shit and you shouldn't be alive and all
Was
of
that cancel
stuff.
culture?
It's just crazy.
People tried to cancel Cube, man. Dude, he has 30 years of being authentic and he don't back down. It's like, fuck you. I'm not you.
Just timeless.
That's fucking Cube. Yeah, hell yeah.
You know, and it backfired on those people who tried to get him, I think. But Hollywood, you know, I'm sure there's great parties going on that now that I have 2 little girls, you know, they're like, they're not by Jeff, you know. Go back to his old ways and disappear for 3 days.
Oh, no.
Guy.
The other thing is, when the music business went through its decline, when it was really in bad shape after digital music, and you know, basically 11, 12 companies became 3. They just didn't. They used to have budgets like that were crazy for the VMAs, for the Grammys. There'd be like 15, and they would all be decadent because people were making so much money, and then they weren't. So that shit all got cut back, and then COVID. So it takes a few years for people to start spending money and outdoing each other, and people to be ready to let loose. But I really do think that our culture right now, it makes it very risky for people to let loose. You know,
Have fun. Yep.
everybody's got everybody's got a camera in their phone. Everybody's got, you know, can say what I saw him or her do this or that, but it wasn't always like that. And there are things that were excessive and need to change, but I think there's a lot of fear now, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of fear.
Speaking of
artists shouldn't have fear, you know?
Max. So speaking of letting loose, you managed Britney Spears for 1 month, and since it was 1 month, I'm assuming this was like shaved head Britney. Can you tell us what that was like?
Well, I mean, Brittany. I mean, dude, I bet she doesn't even remember that. Remember me?
Yeah.
She like, you know. But listen, Brittany, I have a lot of empathy for Brittany, man. She's a
free Brittany.
Dude, she was a little girl, and when you're a little girl, you want to know mommy and daddy love you. But mommy and daddy were like pimping her out to the Musketeers and doing these shows. And, you know, there's a lot of these moms or dads that live their dreams through their kids. And we all want what's best for our kids. But there comes a point where do you want what's best for your kid or you want what's best for you? And them thinking they're the star. And it's really, I've seen it a lot of times. It's common, and we can name, you know, everybody I'm sure is listening can name some people, but the psychological effect of having parents like that is you don't feel loved and you start to be disconnected. I mean, the craziest thing I saw, I managed Michael Jackson for a year, and he just didn't live on Earth. And I'm not saying that like to be funny or like insulting, because the shit he was put through, like there's no way he could have understood like how the real world works, because
Word.
it was, and Brittany was kind of like that, and she, you know, and we were trying to get her in shape and get her dancing, doing this routine, and you know, to do the VMAs. I came in to do the VMAs, and she started working her ass off. And you know, I saw her record a couple songs in the studio, and I'm telling you, the girl can sing. I honestly was surprised how good she was, and that's not like some low bar shit. Like she was good, and when she turned on, she turned it on, and she was dancing up a storm. And then we get to Vegas for the VMAs, and you know the people, you know, who we had managed to kind of send home, like her cousin, I can't remember her name now, but oh wow, Brittany's back. She's in shape. Let's all go to Vegas, and you know, I'm sure out came the drugs. They were out all night. We tried to like. I had people who were with her. They couldn't. You know, she has people that around her who really benefit from her being fucked up. And you see that all the time, man, with famous people. There's not people like most people. You know, we saw that with Allen Iverson the first year. You know, Allen Iverson is a great person. He is. I've seen his soul, man. Cuban, I spent a lot of time with him. But sometimes, you know, the boys you grew up with, they're the people you grew up with, and they know how to push your buttons, and people aren't, it's hard to move on from people who aren't good for you or using you if they've been your people your whole life. It's a really hard thing. It's a really hard.
That's a bar.
And Brittany, the wheels came off, man. And you know, we had this great outfit design. Her cousin didn't like it, so she put something else on. And it was a complete disaster. The first thing, the president of Jive Records came up to me backstage and said, "You did it! You did it! She performed. No one thought she'd perform." And I just looked at him. I'm like, "Dude, did you watch the same performance I did?" He goes, "Yeah, don't worry, it wasn't perfect, but she got through it." I was like, "Oh boy, dude, yeah, you better talk to press people because it's not gonna work out very good. Trust me." And sadly, and I'll just say this: I'm not going to defend her dad and everything he did because I don't really know, right? But right after that situation is when the whole thing went down with her dad coming in as a trustee. If that judge hadn't made him her trustee, she'd be dead. And I know that. It's not an opinion. She would be dead. She needed someone to come in. Now her dad had not been a good dad to her. And I think that was part of it, that he felt guilty that he left with the mom, and and then over time, then maybe he starts to think he's the star. You know what I mean? Because he's the guy calling the shots. And I can't speak to that. All I can speak to is it seemed like it was ridiculously long, but in the beginning, she needed that shit and it saved her life. And so you can be mad at, what was he the trustee, like 10 years? 12?
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous. The idea is not to baby someone their whole life, but she was not capable of running her life then. She just wasn't. So I'm glad the judge did that initially. He saved her life. And no one's saying that. And, I'm glad I have the opportunity to say it because it's fucking true, man. And there's no doubt in the world. So.
Yeah, very interesting. I know that one of our co-hosts, Chapter here, wants to ask this question. Who are your favorite rappers of all time? And you can't say Ice Cube.
Well, I could tell you who the next two on the list are.
Okay.
LJ and Public Enemy. And when I was in law school, is right when Public Enemy and NWA first came out, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Word.
Like, rap, started in a lot of ways, like the Fat Boys, and it was like funny rap and then these guys come along. Sorry, these guys come along,
okay.
And they're talking about shit that like I couldn't relate to, but I knew it was real because it's real. And it's just ironic that it was both of them. So at the East Coast and the West Coast, and it was just it was so intense to me. And LL was just always had like this power, and he's there's a reason why these guys are all still around. There's a reason why LL's still doing it too. And
does he have a big 3 team yet? LL Cool J?
LL is actually one of like the earliest investors in Big Three. We're buddies with him. And we he just called us up and said, I want to be part of what you guys are doing. He does a lot of stuff he's got this Sirius channel, Rock the Bells. It's really popular. And it's like classic rock, only it's rap. It's like a bunch of shit that's been forgotten. I mean, there's a lot of rappers along the way, a lot of hip hop along the way. How do you pick one out? I mean, different people in different time periods. There's certain Nas, right? I mean, there's so many. There's so many. Obviously, the Dre records were unbelievable. I'm trying to remember. I'm missing one that's more obscure.
Give me a new one, I dare you.
Give you a new one.
Well, you can say Kanye, I guess.
Kanye's not a new one.
I mean, he's newer than LL Cool J and Public Enemy, and
Logic is good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's interesting now because now it's less about the pure form of hip hop, like it's hip hop mash with pop, so it's what is hip hop, obviously, is Kendrick Lamar hip hop? I guess, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Kendrick Lamar is amazing. Look, Snoop Dogg's amazing. That's going back.
Ever heard of him? That halftime show, that shit brought me back. That was great.
Yeah, word.
Yeah. There's the Outcast guys back in the day were unbelievable.
Love Outcast.
Oh yeah.
Outkast
word,
great,
bro. Nobody said Outcast like in the last fucking 11 episodes, bro. Yeah,
that's
holy shit. Dead ass.
Hey Y'all is my go-to karaoke song.
Bro, just Andre, bro.
Yeah. I mean, Chance the Rapper,
Yeah.
Good too, doing a lot of stuff for Chicago and shit.
Hell yeah. let me squeeze another big three question in, because I don't think I remember to ask this earlier. So for us around the country who would like to get to a game, to utilize those DeGods floor seats and the owner's box, where do you guys usually play at? Do you know what the schedule looks like this year as far as what cities you'll be in?
I mean, what we usually do is we go and play in a different city in an arena in a different city every week. Like that's the format. Last time, because of COVID, we had to do like most of the games in Vegas, and then we played in a couple other markets like Dallas, Chicago, Milwaukee, and we did the finals in the Bahamas. So we might have to make some last minute changes depending how this COVID thing goes. But we're gonna play in Chicago. I believe we're playing at the UAC Pavilion. They call it something else, some bank name. But we're going to play. I know we're playing the playoffs in Atlanta. I know we're playing the finals in Miami.
Okay.
Isn't it FTX Arena now?
FTX now, yeah. It used to be AAA.
Yeah, and then we're going to play the All-Star game in the Bahamas. And I know we're playing in Dallas as well. Dallas is a great market for us. We played there every year. We average like 17,000 people there. Wow. It's crazy. We played in Detroit, and they were pissed because we had the biggest attendance of the year. We had more attendance than 41 Detroit Pistons games.
Wow. Brutal. You hate to hear it.
That was brutal, man.
Damn, I got some options then, because I could definitely do Miami. I could probably swing Atlanta, so that's good to hear for me.
Where are you?
I'm in Charleston right now, but I'm originally from South Florida. I've been to plenty of games at AAA. I was at Game 7 when the Heat beat the Spurs in like 2012, maybe 2011, I forget. And then obviously Atlanta is not that far away from Charleston, so definitely gonna try and swing a couple games this season.
You were there for the Dwayne Wade, the first Dwayne Wade ring.
Big three. I was there when LeBron was there. Again, not a basketball fan, but when LeBron was in Miami, I was living in Fort Lauderdale, I was a fair bit of a Heat fan.
There you go. Hey, Dwayne Wade, he's a huge Big Three fan too. He's a cool dude. So, see,
let's go.
One
Me
of your
and him are
guys.
Gonna be sitting courtside in Miami. Can't wait.
You come, you will be courtside. You just remember asking me you're courtside.
Let's go.
I'll even figure out something.
All right, dude, please, let's go. I'll facepalm a security guard. Hey, yo, Jeff said I was sitting courtside. Get the fuck out of my way.
That word.
Hell yeah, man.
Our guys
I know I'd get my ass kicked, but I like to act tough. Jeff, do you have any questions for us or anything? Do you have any questions about like weird NFT shit or DeGods, or
what? Tell us what we can do better. What's like? What could we do that would be the most inclusive of most of the DeGods, like not just sports fans?
The first thing that comes to my mind, and this is kind of like overarching and not just DeGods, but like I think you really need to lean into the NFT community thing, because there's already a little bit of animosity, for better or worse, between these communities, because at the end of the day we're all kind of competing for the same market cap as projects. I think leaning into the branding of the NFT communities and that whole competition between communities would be a way to really make this go beyond just TV and just rooting for a sports team.
Right. It's easy to show why what we're doing is good for sports fans, but the other side, like what we try to communicate to NFT people is like, I heard Gary Vee talking about this once, about that the NFT world keeps recycling the same dollars and people. And I think what we can do, is bring more people into it and understand it, that it's not just, it's not just JPEG. Like people think it's JPEGs and Ponzi schemes.
And That was the first thing that crossed my mind when I heard about this Big 3 acquisition. I was like, holy shit, we're going from, and at the time DeGods was the first one, but we're going from JPEGs on the internet to like potentially this brand that will be on national television. And that's something else I'll give you for free. You let like DeGod slap our logo on a jersey, you let, you know, Bored Apes, V Friends slap their logo on a jersey, your merch sales are gonna fucking quadruple and people are gonna get that more hyped about it because like at the end of the day, you know, we're rooting for DeGods as our team, as our brand. And any way that we can show out and show our support for that, like you got a shit ton of degenerates on the internet, they're gonna fucking do it.
I mean, that's like the same thing. Like, you know, there's people who wear Chicago Bulls just because they like Chicago, you know, but just so you know, part of the fire tier and what you guys have the right to do, straight up, is like the apes. We gave people the right to use our IP, so you can do that. You can design merch with DeGods on it and using the name, you know, the name of the team, the name of the league, and we'll help you, you know, with our manufacturers, and you keep 80% of the profits. So actually, you know, it's not even like we're looking to, you know, pimp you guys out for us to make money. We want you to go do that because then you guys get rewarded, and you know, different people in your community, you know, may have different ideas and different designs, you know. So like, go out, make money, do it.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a big thing. And look at it from our standpoint, right? Like merchandising is a big income source, right? But at the end of the day, it's also like promotion and advertisement. Like people, like, you know, showing off. Like, man, I'm a DeGods and a Big 3 fan. Like that's big, you know, and you know, and the Killer Threes, you know, having that on. We can't do it with player pictures and just because it's too complicated. But not to say, you know, you guys are getting close to Frank Nitti. Frank Nitti says do it, you can do it. You can definitely use, you know, Killer Threes and Big 3, and you know, we want you guys to do that. We want you guys to do that, and if you make money on it, great, like no issues, because that's, see, we're not thinking about how do we squeeze out shit. We're thinking about how do we make the pie bigger. Because I'm telling you, man, I remember when UFC first came out, and it was illegal in most places. And we spent a lot of time talking to Dana White, and we're friends with the owners, the other owners, and you know, they were the last sport to make it. I mean, it's like 25 years ago minimum. So we studied it. We like, okay, how could these guys make it as a sport? It's so hard now. You know, I mean, look what they did to boxing.
Yeah.
And if the NBA wants to keep fucking with us, then we're gonna do to them what the UFC did to boxing. And
let's go.
Our games are more exciting, man.
I'm excited for that, man. I'm not a basketball guy. I've fucking said it a million times, but like everything I've heard about this league just makes me very excited to watch some Big 3 games.
We also, you know, at the games themselves, we try to look at it like a rolling all-star game. You know, we have at least 3 games each time, so that's 6 teams. And you know, the players all love hanging out with each other. Some of them get mad after the games, but you know, but mostly these are guys who they've known each other since high school. It's crazy, you know, and you know, we have those after parties, and you guys be invited to all those. And the guy, I'm telling you, the players, when they see the same people too, they get super psyched. Especially, you know, you guys are off to such a good start, and great players, man. You know, so there's a lot to do, and like the thing with the t-shirts, just the beginning. Like we're open to anything. anything that makes sense.
I'm just fucking hyped, bro. Yeah, I'm fucking hyped just for the fucking killer threes, bro, to just fucking, just take the chip, bro. That's what I'm fucking hyped for, but hell yeah.
I'm sure with like these NFT communities now, like, I mean, yeah, just like you said, the t-shirts are going to be just the beginning, and you're basically like crowdsourcing all these people that like want to see, their team succeed and like all their ideas and all that stuff. And, we have a vested interest in making it succeed. So I'm sure we don't even know what will come out of it yet, but I'm sure it will be pretty amazing.
That's the exciting part. We don't know either. We just want to encourage it and make it, worthwhile. That's how people were like, why would you give away 80%? I'm like, what are you talking about? We have to keep 20% of the net profits. They keep 80%. So, our 20% is found money. Like, maybe they'll be pissed at us for keeping 20 because they're, it's you got this community that's all about creativity and doing things original and stuff, and who knows what's going to come up, and who knows what other areas will make sense. Something else that was suggested to us is that we, not every game's on CBS, about half the games. So like the other games, instead of licensing it to some bullshit streamer, put out a feed and let the communities take the feed and either just run it on their own socials or their own platforms, or even do like, I don't know if you guys know, like the Manning cast.
Love the Manning cast.
Monday Night Football. So what if you did like, DGod, a DGen cast, and you guys could go on.
I might have to learn about basketball if I'm gonna fucking do a live stream of these games, but I love that.
We're gonna be watching every game.
Here's the thing, man. That like when the ball goes through the hoop, it's a score.
Touchdown, baby. Let's go.
And the thing is that you could do the broadcast in a way that that your peeps, your community,
we can swear and shit. Oh, he just got fucking dunked on.
Get bodies, a body on the court.
Hell yes, dude. Wow. I hope, because there, a lot of people obviously, get into NFTs, they're in crypto, maybe they're not into sports in general. Like, a lot of people were a little skeptical about the move at the beginning. And again, DeGod's being the first movers, it was like a basketball team. What the fuck? I think a lot of people, since Gary Vee hopped on, since some of these other massive NFT projects hopped on, have been like, oh, it's a great idea now. I knew it all along. But hopefully the few people out there that are still slightly skeptical are going to be able to listen to this and be as fucking excited as I am about this, because it's going to be incredible. When does the season start? Like mid-June? End of June? June 18th.
Yeah, and it's every weekend.
Dude, the perfect prelude for football. Let's go.
We're between like the end of basketball and the beginning of football.
Perfect.
So, we're not very worried about taking on baseball.
Fair. Can't blame you.
Boring as shit, man.
Talk about an old, antiquated league. Slate Chapter, do you boys have any more questions?
Yo, Jeff, I got a question. Because I know that you said that you were like plugged into like the news and shit. So I've always been a fan of Cube. I've been listening to a lot of his music lately and shit. So he did this song with Jadakiss, or it's actually with Lil Jon, but Jadakiss was on it.
Love Jadakiss.
And Jadakiss, word, same. So Jadakiss said, a nigga only fear is getting charged with conspiracy, right? So this question actually relates to law, right? So I was reading the news today, and me and my homies were actually arguing about this shit, right? So some music artists and other individuals were recently indicted on state RICO conspiracy charges. So my question is, are state RICO charges as deep as federal RICO charges? Are they the same thing, or does the severity just depend on what state you're in?
I mean, first of all, I'm not a practice. Well, I am kind of a practice. Okay, so I couldn't wimp out of it. I don't know about state RICO laws. Like I'm barred in barred means I'm allowed, not prevented in California. we don't have, to my knowledge, we don't have state RICO laws.
I didn't know there were state RICO laws until I saw the news today.
Yeah, RICO is it's obviously a federal thing. It's also, they used it to get the mob. But then they started expanding it to some other shit that they're really not supposed to. So sometimes it's sketchy to begin with. And every state is different. So I'd have to read the law but if they're charging them with RICO, that means most likely that they don't know what else to charge them with. They're trying to hang something over their head usually.
Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, I mean RICO is a real. It's an overbroad thing.
Yeah, just that's why I was thinking about what Jadakiss. That's how Jadakiss opened up his verse. He was do
we need to preface that chapter for Spotify reasons by saying that you're black, so you're allowed to read that song quote?
yeah, sure. But yeah, bro, fucking, but that's how Jadakiss literally opens up his verse. Everybody's killing shit. Nas goes, then Jadakiss comes in. He said, "I'm gonna speak clearly because I don't think they're hearing me. A nigga only fears getting charged with conspiracy." And then, see this thing on the news today. And that's what I was thinking, dang, but for one, I mean, it's conspiracy, for RICO, but also it's a state RICO law. And I didn't know that was a thing. So I was like, well, you know what? We got Jeff on the show, so I might as well just, shoot my shot and see if, if I can get some info. But it's all good, though.
There are a lot of states that have laws that apply to gangs, which is kind of the same idea.
Yeah.
Trying to, get you for what your whole organization does. Yeah. It's a fine line, man. Our government goes over it way too much. All this shit, man, spying on everybody, tapping on, So I'm not surprised states have their RICO laws because they're looking at the feds saying, hey, that's a good
exactly.
idea.
That's why we love Web3. You get to be anonymous.
Yeah.
Anonymous.
Except I put my name on this. Maybe because I Jeffrey. Oh no,
it's all good. Nobody sees this shit. They don't see your actual name. It's all good.
Yeah, that's
Jeffrey. Yeah, there ain't no Jeff here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is Jeffrey, bro, from fucking Fresh Prince.
Oh yeah, man. All right, Jeff. Well, this has been very fun. It's been a pleasure. We're just some random guys from the internet, so we appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us and drop some knowledge on Big Three on us and talk a little shit and have a good time. I hope you enjoyed yourself as much as I did.
Yeah. This is your world. Cube and I are entering your world. So we appreciate you guys giving us the time of day and, seeing that, what we're doing. We're really we really are in this for the right reasons. This is not a cash and grab, and Cube started that, with his 2 drops with Trevor Jones and Silly Gabe, and we have some other ones coming out. Our biggest worry was we don't want to be the next celeb to just let's go get rich and go get some money on this.
Yeah.
It's apparent that y'all are down with the culture and kind of have been submersing yourself in it. And, it's not just you just didn't come in and say, pay us.
We're just on the cusp of what all this can be.
All right, man. Well, yeah, I appreciate you again. It's been a pleasure and, looking forward to the season.
I appreciate you guys, man. Seriously.
Yeah. See you on the court.
See you courtside.
I'll see you next Wednesday, right?
Every Wednesday, yeah. You're the 4th host now. You're
you coming back?
I heard you got Mark Anthony coming in.
Yeah, well, he's got to wait in line. We got Ice Cube and Snoop Dogg coming on first, but
yeah, word.
Mark Anthony has to defend himself.
Yeah,
now.
Exactly, bro. We're having Mark Anthony on, bro. Yeah, Jeff, didn't you say that was your man's, bro? That's why we're having him on, bro. I thought that was your homie, bro.
I tell you, if you have Mark Anthony, please invite me.
I'll let you host the whole show.
He wants all the smoke.
Dude, I'll take that motherfucker on. I would have beat his ass if J-Lo asked me not to.
Hey, you can host the show. If you get him on, have Sean get him on, and you can host the show.
I'll only last 5 minutes because I'll beat it down.
All right, brother. Appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a blast.
All right, guys. Thank you.
And Slate chapter. We out.